Hey, this is Gene with Motoclops, and today we're going to talk about mineral oil and DOT brakes. So these are the two most popular brakes that we sell here at Motoclops. We've got the TRP DHR Evo, which is a mineral oil brake, and the Hayes Dominion A4, which is a DOT brake. Typically, mineral oil brakes, they tend to be a little bit less expensive. And they seem to be a lot more brakes out for aftermarkets that use mineral oil. Now, in the mountain bike world, mineral oil tends to make a lot of sense. It's a more easily fluid to get. Some manufacturers have their own proprietary formulas. There's a lot of debate on which one is better and which one is more suitable for this platform. And that's mostly because it's not regulated. There's no government regulations for mineral oil, so each manufacturer can claim that theirs is the best. With the DHRs, again, super popular brake for this platform, a lot of pros for mineral oil. It's got a fairly high boiling point, and it seems to fluctuate temperature a lot less than DOT fluid. It stays very stable. The negative is if it does get contaminated with water in any way, the water contaminates it so bad to where it brings the boiling point all the way down to 100 C, which is water's boiling point. Also, the water will tend to settle down into the caliper since that's the lowest point of the brake. And that's bad because what happens is it pushes the fluid outside of the caliper, and the water is the thing that heats up first, and then brake fade is imminent, and it happens with very low temperatures. So you always want to keep that in mind when considering mineral oil brakes. DOT brakes, on the other hand, those are there's less of them out there. They can tend to be a little bit more expensive, again, depending on brand. They're just as good or maybe better in some cases, depending on the application. The advantage of DOT brakes is that the fluid is more readily available. You can get it at a lot of either hardware stores or automotive stores. Super easy to get and very popular in online and things of that nature. It's just easier to acquire. The other advantages are when you have contamination with the DOT fluid, it affects that fluid less. So we'll go over here in a minute some charts to show you the wet and the dry boiling points of DOT fluid, and it will make a little bit more sense there. But overall, very powerful brake, and arguably better in some applications, especially with race applications where heat is a certainty. So with DOT fluid, some of them do have higher boiling points than even mineral oil. However, if they are contaminated, they are just affected less. And so you maintain your braking a bit better in some cases with DOT brakes. As I mentioned earlier, the boiling point of mineral oil, they can vary just like DOT boiling points. Here in this image, you're going to see 4 different mineral oils that are offered out there and their relative boiling points. You can use most of these mineral oils in almost any mineral oil brake, even the OEMs, the stock brakes. And if you find yourself getting brake fade on your stock brakes, it might be worth investigating these brands and flushing the fluid that's in your stock brakes and using this fluid. In this image, this shows the 4 different variations of DOT fluid. The fluid that are most common in the brakes that you're going to have available on this platform are going to use either DOT3, DOT4, or DOT 5.1. We prefer the 5.1, not only because it has a higher dry boiling point and wet boiling point. Those brakes just typically tend to be a bit more high end. Now, when we talk about dry boiling point and wet boiling point, that really just has to do with contamination. So dry boiling point is a boiling point for has no contamination in it, no water, no anything. A wet boiling point for each of these three fluids shows that once it's contaminated, its boiling point is dramatically reduced. And so that just means that your brakes will heat up quicker if there's water in them. If you do find that your brakes are fading or that there is water in there or they seem a little squishy, then you want to flush it out and get some fresh fluid in there. It's also notable that DOT3, DOT4, and DOT 5.1 fluids can all be mixed. Now, it's not something that you want to make a practice of, but if you've got a DOT 5.1 brake and you need to add some fluid, it's not terrible for the brake for you to top up your reservoir with DOT 3 or DOT fluid. What you don't want to do is put DOT 5 in there. DOT 5 is a completely different composition fluid, and it will not play well with the internals of your brake. So you want to take that completely off the table as an option if you're trying to intermingle the different fluids. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to visit www.motoclops.com for all your e-bike, e-moto parts and accessories.